Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Nick with another video on IT, career, Linux training, and a whole bunch of different kind of things if you're new to the channel. And I'm in my bathrobe right now, and it's almost 1 p.m. So I don't think it actually picks up on the screen because the video is a little bit dark, just because the lighting in here. Uh, But my apologies for wearing a bathrobe and recording a video. It's been rainy, a little bit cold for Los Angeles, and I'm a little bit under the weather today. And I'm working from home, so nobody's aside from you guys and all of the internet are going to see me in my bathrobe. So I wanted to make a quick video today to talk about what I think is probably one of the most important subjects in sort of maintaining a technology career for a lengthy period of time, and that's continuous learning, and it's exactly what it sounds like. There's really nothing fancy about this. This is a really basic, straightforward idea. So continuous learning is just that. It's the idea that once you get into your career or when you're looking for a job, you want to be learning new technologies and new skills. And that's because even if you graduated with, a Bachelor of Science, in computer science or MIS or something along those lines, and you've, very well credentialed, right, even if you have an advanced degree, IT and technology is constantly changing. And that's true whether you're on the dev side or the ops side, or you're doing a bit of both in a sort of role that spans the two kind of fields. And you need to keep up. And one of the things that I see, and I see this quite a bit because I work in training, is people who have some kind of career event, right? They get laid off, the business changes, they don't get the promotion that they thought they were going to go get. Some kind of thing happens, and then they start looking around for new work, and they realize, oh wow, I need to go catch up on a lot of stuff. So I'm going to need to invest a huge amount of time and study very intensively to get back up to speed. Um, and it's one of those things that's probably a little bit terrifying if you find yourself in that position. And I think it's sort of driven by a couple different things. It's driven oftentimes by burnout, so people are a little bit less interested in the tech stuff and sort of the new kind of things. They just kind of want to go to work. They want to get their stuff done, and they want to go home. Just I'm tired. I want to go home, and that's understandable, and it happens to everybody. But I think one of the things that actually happens, and it's one of the great things about this is by continuously learning, it's actually easier to stay interested. Because I think one of the reasons why people burn out is they're doing the same kinds of stuff all the time. So if you're getting exposed to new things, you can go find new interests, and you're getting bored of one technology as you're picking up a new one, and you can sort of kind of constantly stay in the pocket, right? So you stay in a place where you're interested. So there's a couple different things to mention. This is relevant whether you currently have a job and you're in a senior role, or if you're somebody who doesn't have a job yet and you're about to graduate from college, or you're looking for new positions and you're working in help desk or early on in your career. So really, it doesn't matter kind of where you're at in terms of the skill ladder and the employment ladder, right? You want to be doing continuous learning at all stages, right? So the first piece of advice that I would give you when it comes to looking at doing continuous learning is prioritize interest first and the market second. So I alluded to burnout before. It's one of the biggest killer of careers in IT and in technology in general, is people burn out. They end up doing things that they don't care about. They looked at what was available in tech, and maybe they decided that they wanted to be somebody who did security work, and that sounded really interesting and cool to them. And then they got in that position and they found that for them, that wasn't the right job. And that could be, software development, that could be, back end development stuff, that could be, you know, whatever it is, right? It's not picking on any particular career, but the idea is, on paper, what you do in a particular job may be different than the way that actually ends up working in real life. Or even if it is the same, it may just be that, until you start doing it, you're not going to be sure if you like it. Right? So prioritize interest first so that you're going to maintain your interest level in these things. Be aware of what's available in the market. But if you're constantly adding to your skills, you're going to find skills that will be marketable, right? Also, this stuff moves so quickly. And I don't know, things are so difficult to predict in technology. You don't necessarily know what the most marketable thing is going to be, right? If you find that something is really interesting, I would learn that. And then sort of look at what's available in the marketplace or what sort of, desired by the marketplace second. Right? Don't ignore the marketplace, but in terms of prioritization, look at interest first. And then for market stuff, GitHub is a good place to go look for technologies. You can sort by, checkouts and things like that. You can go look at job postings to go see the skills that they're listing, things like that. Those are good places to start for new technologies. And then if you're currently employed, companies typically will invest in their employees, right? So if you work for a company, it makes sense. There is a good return on investment to keep the people who work for you up to date with the skills that you need. The one issue with getting training through your company or working through your continuous learning through your job is the priorities in terms of what you get training on are going to be based on the job. So it's going to be based on the market, not on your interest, right? So it's good to go do both. So the way that I recommend that you do this when you're doing it through a corporation as sort of your baseline, right, is budget a fixed amount of time for training. And this doesn't need to be, or I should say not for training, but for learning, right? So self-learning. And, put it on your schedule, right? Block that out in your calendar, right? Every Monday between, 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., right? I'm going to go do reading on new technologies. I'm going to go, set stuff up in the lab and mess around with it. Now, obviously, make sure that your managers sign off on that. But, once you do that and push for it, that's something you want to have in your schedule and in your time. The problem I find a lot of people have is time management, and also sort of making sure that people are aware that this is something that's consuming your time. Because if people don't know that you're doing continuous learning and they just think that you're not doing anything for that period of time, they'll try to go fill that time with work, right? But if you have it on your schedule and then someone tries to give you a ticket and you say, oh no, I actually have this time blocked off. I've only get 4 hours, worth of cycles today because I get these meetings and I get the training, and then, whatever it is, make sure that that's sort of blocked out, right? And then protect that time, because, people will try to take that away. They'll try to prioritize other things ahead of that. And, it's good for the company and it's good for you, right? The second thing that you can try to go do is have work send you to training, right? So one of the things that's pretty common is at the end of the year, right, you'll have your eval where you sit down with your managers and you get feedback on how you've done that year. Hopefully you get maybe a bonus and a raise, and you sort of have that sort of meeting to kind of set the baseline on where you're at, if things are going well with the company or if you need to go improve on things, and all that stuff. And one of the things that a lot of companies will do at that same time is to set up a personal development plan, right? Set up some goals for the next quarter, for the next year, whatever that the cycle is in your particular company. And one of the common things that they'll want to have on there is some very easily trackable milestones. So you can go say that you were doing them. Ask for training, right? Have a couple of your goals be to take 2 classes a year. And that's a really nice thing to go do. Typically, a lot of the classes that one might take through a company could be fairly expensive, but they're great for networking. You can talk to them about this as an opportunity to go find new people to potentially recruit for the company as a bonus. It's going to be dedicated time, hopefully out of the office. A lot of people do their corporate training online. I'm teaching a class right now. My students are off doing labs, but if possible, do it in person. I know it's sort of old fashioned, but it's great for networking. It's a really good way to sort of meet other people in your area that are technical and smart, and they're working for places that are willing to go send them off to training. So I think you get a better experience when you get to do it in person. So one of the big things is just like your time that you're going to try to go schedule, training will oftentimes get canceled, right? Or it'll get denied, right? Oh, well, we're just so busy this week, or we're just so busy this month. We can't have the cycles. So if you want to go ahead and get training, ask for it way in advance, right? Or just like assume that it's approved. Like when you go to your boss, just say like, "Hey, we had that conversation during our annual review meeting about going to training. I'm going to go set up a class for October, right?" And you do it, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 months in advance. So you have like a really big gap between right now and when the training is going to occur, so that whoever needs to go approve this can tell themselves, "Oh, by then we'll be all caught up with all the work that we need, and we'll make sure that we have the time for it." So even if you're in sort of an unhealthy organization, you can potentially get that improved. Likewise, pay for it in advance, right? So if you pay for it when you schedule it, then if your boss tries to go cancel it, you can say, "Well, we spent like $4,000 on this class. I mean, I can cancel it, but like that's gonna cost us $4,000. Like I should just go take the class." So you get a little bit of leverage, right? Your boss doesn't want to tell their boss that they spent $4,000 and they didn't get anything from it, right? So that's a good option. Another thing that you can go ahead and do, and this is more on your time, right? So this may not necessarily be through work, but this could be after hours. This could be once a month through a user group or a local organization. Attend talks and conferences. So if someone's giving a talk or there's a conference in your area, potentially try to go to that. Now, some of them are going to be pretty expensive. Like if you go to AWS, or you go to the NetApp Insight conference, or you go to VMware World, or any of those, they're not going to be cheap, because they realize that a lot of companies will pay money to go send their employees to conferences. So for conferences, if you can get your work to pay for that, that's awesome. That's a fantastic thing. And the really great thing is that you're going to have a whole bunch of training in a really short period of time, right? The downside is it can be sort of like drinking from a fire hose. So you may have so much stuff that you can't really get as much as one would hope out of it. So a more traditional class that's sort of specific to a particular piece of technology that lets you sort of sit with it for like a week, or at least a few days in a row, can be a little bit more effective sometimes. But talks are great. Talks are usually free, especially if it's local, user groups, things like that. And you have the side bonus of networking, right? So, all this sort of stuff sort of loops back to the sort of the ethos that we talked about in the early videos, which is you want to have a lab, you want to have side projects, you want to be interested in this stuff. And I think continuous learning is a really big part of that. So hope that's something that you guys consider doing in the future. I think it's a really good option. It's something that's, it's going to pay itself back. And if you're doing this on a regular basis, if you have some kind of event like a layoff or something like that, it won't be nearly as painful. So yeah. So if you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you did, right? And you want to get to a point in your career where you can work from home in a bathrobe, um, click click down below and hit the subscribe button. If you think that somebody might find these videos useful, please share them with your friends or on social media or forums where that might be appropriate. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and I appreciate you taking the time.